The other day I just was watching Armed Scholar, great channel by the way. I'm going to talk a little bit about the British Royal Marines tried to seize our colonists' powder houses, among other intolerable acts. So let's get into it. Another edition of Ask Michael Eline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. All right. So here we go. I hope you liked it. I kind of did it a little reverse this time. But basically, I always talk about natural law and the Leviathan, and this is another example. And that's why I like to play bagpipe music. The Scots really got it bad when it came to always having to disarm themselves and constantly being threatened by the English. So let's talk a little bit about how some of the Scottish influence and other influences like John Locke sort of led to our American Revolution. And once you understand this, I think things will start making more sense. So here we go. So in 1775, the King's Governor of Virginia went ahead and used the Royal Marines to try and seize the colonists' gunpowder. He'd already dissolved the colonists' right of representation because the colonists were supporting some fellow colonists in Massachusetts who were fighting against the King's intolerable acts, aka intolerable things like endless wars that they were being forced to pay for, high taxes on everything, things that they didn't even want. Just the typical Leviathan-like approach of a large centralized government fleecing everyone that it can. First thing the king wants to do, or any great Leviathan wants to do, is seize your ability, destroy your ability to fight back. So that sparked off the American Revolution. As you can see, the king had dissolved the Virginia House of Burgesses, then went ahead, because they showed support for Massachusetts, the Tea Party, all that stuff they don't really teach you in public schools, except that all of our founding fathers were evil because they were white or something like that. But the real reason why the government doesn't want you to like our founding fathers is because of this. So this is why I want to teach you. Our founding fathers were rebels. They taught people to fight against the great Leviathan and large overpowering things that would try and destroy our lives. Now what we have now is we have our government saying we don't really need firearms, we don't need ammunition, we don't need weapons because you'd need an F-15 or an F-16. He said something about how they would need an F-16 to defeat him. Well, somebody should tell that to the Taliban, because when we surrendered to the Taliban, we surrendered all of our weapons and our armories and everything, and now they're armed with really nice M4s, and it was the greatest geopolitical disaster of our time. And you can see how the great Leviathan covered that up as well. So you've got this great news media that covers up for all these tragic events in our American history. So we can see that although our Leviathan says one thing, that we'd better have these tanks and all these weapons, we can see that we were defeated by a bunch of goat herders. The Leviathan knows that firearms are a very, very important thing if you believe in freedom, and they definitely don't want you to have them if they want to control you and every aspect of your life. So the ammo tax, the ammo ban history, in 2016 a law was passed. Legislation was passed to tax ammunition, to force you to pass a background check to buy ammunition, and also disallowing you the right to engage in commerce, buy it online. And somehow this was going to reduce crime, or that's what they always say. It's always about, under the guise of safety, we're going. Senator De Leon said it wasn't just about controlling guns, it's about controlling ammunition, because if you can control the ammunition, the gun is worthless. So their own reasoning people say, oh, they're not coming for your guns, they don't want to take your guns. But if you read their own words, yes, they are absolutely trying to take away your ability to defend yourself, from limiting the amount of ammunition you're going to have in your firearm and everything else. So there's that. So just to compare the British powder house incidents, the British incident was it was a military action, but it was through the executive. So not really legislative, but it was the king's representative who goes ahead and conducts a military action to seize the powder houses. And then you have, in California, have the ability there to pass a legislative action, the Leviathan. And so under that legislative action, they have more authority to control the people under the pretext of public safety. So public safety is always a great pretext that is used. However, in 2020, Judge Benitez reversed the draconian ammo law, and he ruled that these restrictions violate the Second Amendment, as well as not being able to buy online violated the Dormant Commerce Clause. Hope this is making sense. But, of course, on cue almost, the Ninth Circuit went ahead and did what they always do, which is try to find a way to prevent us from getting our firearms rights back. At least that is what most of, even Chuck Michel now is talking openly about dissenters at the Ninth Circuit who are openly saying, hey, this is not right. This is a big game that's being played to deny people their rights based on political ideology. So we have the Leviathan political ideology, which is at all costs prevent law-abiding citizens from being able to exercise their fundamental constitutional unalienable right of self-defense to defend themselves and to defend their families and even their country. They're saying we shouldn't have the right to be able to get ammo easily. We shouldn't have the right to be able to defend our property. And then you'll see I'll show a clip of this guy in California who had a CCW. He fends off these attackers. And then, of course, California prosecutors going after the gun owner and automatically trying to take away his concealed carry permit. This is a guy who saved his family. You don't hear about these things on the news because this goes against their narrative, because their narrative is guns are evil and everything needs to be banned unless they think that it's good. So now I have Arms Scholar, quickly, privates, right? Because I know people get bored. I try to keep it in under 10 minutes. But here we have, the Arms Scholar YouTube observations. I want you to watch. Circuit didn't leave us with any kind of guidance. So now you've got people who have been making firearm or ammunition purchases online. How is that going to be affected now? How are you even going to be able to buy ammo when the DOJ is already how are you going to be able to buy ammo when the DOJ is already not doing the background check? So now you have all these people who have no way to get ammo. So it's even worse. So that's typical. So listen to what this guy has to say. I really like this guy. So here's what he has to say about it.
That because of the decision from Judge Benitez and the denial of the stay, they were no longer required to run background checks, and that people could purchase ammunition online as well. So even DOJ recognized what had happened in the decision. But then finally, last night, we got an order from the Ninth Circuit, and the order reads, Order by Judge Clifton and H.A. Thomas, dissent by Judge Callahan. The motion to stay the District Court's January 30th, 2024 permanent injunction and judgment is granted. The existing briefing schedule remains in effect. Callahan, circuit judge, dissenting. So Callahan was the only judge who dissented. She stated that, I would deny the motion for a stay pending appeal. I do not believe appellant has met his burden of showing a likelihood of success on the merits or that irreparable injury will occur absent a stay. So despite the dissent and despite this order, there's no real clarity or rationale about why the stay was granted, and no clarity about what happens now, maybe with orders that happened before the stay, maybe those that haven't shipped, or maybe even those that are currently in transit. That has a lot of people asking what happens now with all of these orders. And really at this point, we have no real guidance and no real, clear answer on what happens because the Ninth Circuit has kind of left us in limbo on that very issue. Some companies have notified purchasers that if they bought before the stay that was granted by the Ninth Circuit, those companies will finish processing the orders, will finish shipping those orders. So some companies are taking that position, and some companies are probably going to take the opposite position. Now, as of right now, of me filling this, we don't also have any guidance from Cal DOJ on about what their take is on this. And again, there's no clarity from the Ninth Circuit either.
So with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to follow my channel. Make sure to save. Make sure to do everything you have to do to protect your family. And I'll be here another day. Save me so I can save you. How's that? Save me so I can save you. Semper Fidelis. Era. Carry on.